Welcome back to the End Time Remnant YouTube channel. This is Dorothy, and I pray each of you are doing well. Today, I wanted to make a special video to just talk to you about dealing with betrayal as a follower of Christ. All right, so in the Bible, the name Judas Iscariot is synonymous with betrayal. And I believe as followers of Christ, each of us will have our own personal Judas experience. And I do believe that these experiences are allowed in order to help us grow and just kind of catapult us into another level of walking in the ways of Christ. I wanted to share a testimony with you today in the hopes that it will bless you, because it is not easy being a follower of Christ in a world like this. It's not easy forgiving 70 times, 7 times, right? It's not easy turning the other cheek. It's not easy blessing those who curse you or praying for those who spitefully use you. It takes a lot of humility, a lot of meekness, right? Strength harnessed, and a lot of help from the Holy Spirit. Many years ago, I worked in a management position and I led a department that employed a team of about 12 to 14 people at any given time. And when I came on board as manager, it was during a time where the department was in great need of organizational restructuring. There were a lot of processes that were antiquated. There were a lot of ways that we were doing things that just were not efficient. The technology was outdated, and quite frankly, there was a significant need for training and development for my employees. I had my work cut out for me, but I was up for the challenge. And, as the months went by, we went through those growing pains together. There were a group of employees who were with the changes. You know what I mean? They got on board. And then obviously there was a group of employees who were not with the changes. They just kind of feel like, who are you to come in here and change everything that we're doing? It's working just fine. Technically, it wasn't working just fine, you know what I mean? Which is why they hired me. So it's not easy to come into an organization and be positioned to be an agent of change when there are people who do not want to change because they are so used to doing things a certain way. But over time, there was an employee that kind of like rose from the ashes. And I identified this person as kind of an overachiever who clearly wanted to be promoted, right? One of the things I also noticed about this person, though, was that they had a very deep well of knowledge in terms of the systems, in terms of how to do things, very well versed on the role, knew everything there was to know. But this person was a gatekeeper. And this person was an intentional gatekeeper. This person liked to be the only one who knew how to do certain things. So when I came in and I started to require a bunch of cross training, because I always kind of felt like your department is only as strong as the people who are in it, right? And if there is only like one superstar, or there's only a couple of people who know how to do everything, well, what happens if this person wins the lottery tomorrow? There goes all the wealth of the information. I didn't want to have a department where there was only 1 to 2 superstars that knew everything. I wanted everyone to know everything. So there was a lot of cross training when I came on board. But I peeped that this person thoroughly enjoyed being the only one who knew everything, an absolute gatekeeper. And I feel like this individual felt like because she knew everything, because her knowledge base was extensive, that she should have been promoted. Okay. But this person had actually been in the same position for almost a decade, and did desire to move up within the organization, but had not yet. So I made it my business to serve as a mentor and consistently encourage this person to make very specific improvements in order to be considered for a more challenging position within the company. The more time I spent with this individual, the more I took a look at this individual's quality of work, it became very clear why this person had not been promoted. Okay, there's a difference between knowledge and your ability to execute. Okay, hopefully you understand what I'm saying. At some point, if I am being perfectly honest, I began to discern a seething jealousy toward me from this employee. Okay, in my face, all smiles, sweet as honey. but I couldn't help but feel like this person felt very entitled to the management position I was sitting in because of the years they'd worked for the organization. Some people, unfortunately, believe tenure trumps education, work experience, and overall excellence and ability, right? Some people feel like because I've worked for this organization for X amount of years, they owe me the opportunity to move up. They owe me this promotion. I done put in 10, 20, 15 years. You owe me this management position. And listen, some organizations may work like that, but none of the ones I worked for did. Okay. If you want to sit in a management position, especially if you are African American, you need more than tenure. Okay. We don't get to sit in these management positions, these executive management positions, functioning at an average level, right? We got to come up in here better than everybody in here put together. It just is what it is. Right? You need a certain level of education. You need years of experience. You need very specific skill sets. You need business acumen. You need drive. You need motivation. You need self-leadership. You need all the things and then some. Okay? You got brown skin. You're going to be better than everyone else, or you're not going to be sitting in these positions. Okay? Some people just don't understand that, and their sense of entitlement is really something. It really gets in their way. Anyway, although I discern the jealousy, I continued to try my best to help this individual as much as possible. Why? Because I'm not a gatekeeper. I'm not a hater. And I wanted to see this person win. And I was willing to give as much help as I could to help them attain their goals, which was move up within the organization. At some point, this employee learned that they were battling cancer and would be going out on leave for treatments. And I wanted this person to know that they were loved, that they were supported, that they were cared for. And so I organized and coordinated a really nice event within the department to let this person know that we were all in full support and we were sending our well wishes before they went out on leave. During this employee's time off from work, I intermittently kept in contact, to make sure all was going well with the treatments, offer some encouragement, let this person know that they were on my mind, they were in my heart, and they were in my prayers. I just didn't want this person to feel like they were forgotten about or like they were alone. I know cancer is very scary, very frightening. And, I wanted this person to know that we were all thinking of them. One day, I decided to reach out to this individual to find out if they wanted to go with me to see my favorite artist sing at a spot in New York City called BB King's. So BB King's doesn't exist anymore, but it did during that time. Layla Hathaway, who is my favorite, was performing, and I had 2 tickets. But instead of inviting my best friend, I thought it would be nice to invite this employee. I wanted to offer a night out on the town, some nice music, treat this person to dinner, just to get their mind off of the cancer battle and just enjoy the evening out. So this person agreed. I picked this individual up. We drove into the city. We had dinner before the concert, and it was nice. Interestingly enough, while we were sitting down eating dinner, one of my cousins walked by our table and recognized me. He was like, Dot. I was like, oh my gosh, like we're going back and forth, stood up, gave him a hug. I am originally from Harlem and I have tons of family all over New York City, but just the likelihood of happening to be in the same place at the same time as one of them was very interesting to me. And I'll get back to that later, but I greet my cousin and then I introduce my cousin to my employee. Okay, so my cousin goes about his business and the rest of the evening was great. The employee and I enjoyed the concert. Dinner was great. We took some pictures together. We had a great time. And then I dropped this person off at home. I went home myself. A couple of months later, this employee is back in the office, back to business as usual, cancer-free, feeling good, looking great, and ready to get back to work. But I quickly started to notice a significant decline in this person's work ethic. I wasn't sure if it was due to the cancer scare or if this person had come back with a made-up mind that they just really didn't care anymore. And when I say care anymore, I don't mean about life, I mean about this job, okay? The time and money costing errors that were coming across my desk to be signed and sent to my VP with this person's name on it was piling up. Okay. This person was costing the organization mucho money. Okay. The errors that they were making they were just egregious. And they screamed, "I don't care." Okay. We had countless private conversations in my office about the decline in quality of this person's work. Right? We also talked about what resources this person may need and how I could ensure their success within the role. More errors. So after a while, I put this person on a performance improvement plan. We call it a PIP. And this was a very specific course of action over a set period of time in order to get the employee on the right track. And ultimately, the ultimate goal of a PIP is to avoid termination. Okay, it's to get the person back in alignment, doing their thing, thriving. But it didn't work. Okay, the performance improvement plan did not work, and I ended up having to let this particular employee go. This employee's termination was very hard for me, but my role as a manager of the department was to prioritize the success of the business, right, and not keep people on board because I liked them. This decision was not personal at all, but it was necessary. And may I just say, everyone wants to be a leader, right? They want the title, they want the paycheck, they want the corner office with the big leather executive chair, right? They want their name outside the door, they want all the things, but they don't want the stress that comes along with making very difficult and critical decisions, right? I was very stressed out during this time because I felt like this employee had left me with no choice. You hear what I say? Left me with no choice, like boxed me in and forced my hand. And to be candid with you, part of me felt like this person came back from their medical leave disgusted by their lack of promotion within the organization. And instead of doing the work required to be taken seriously by hiring managers in other departments, they thought their tenure was going to take them places that they didn't have the education, skills, or experience to go. And I feel like this person came back to the job determined to coast out, okay, refusing to do anything extra. And this time around, refusing to even do the bare minimum. Almost like a self-sabotaging of sorts, like perhaps they wanted to be let go. So this person is terminated from the organization for lack of performance. And after this person is terminated, Human Resources gives me access to their computer and all of their emails to ensure there were no client requests being overlooked due to this person's absence. And what I saw in the emails took my breath away. Okay. This individual clearly did not like me. This individual clearly felt some type of way about me personally. This individual was constantly sending emails to VPs and Human Resources about me. Apparently, when this employee was put on the performance improvement plan, instead of focusing on improving the quality of work being done, it was as though this person immediately sprung into action on how to sue the organization for racism in the event they got fired. So they weren't focused on doing work and improving. Okay, so instead of doing work and improving, this person was using company time to look up, gather, and print out all types of documentation to help build a case to sue the organization. And part of me wanted to laugh hysterically because I wasn't sure how this person would accuse the organization of being racist and say that they were fired due to their color when we are the same color, right? But people who lack personal accountability are delusional. There is no end to their ability to find fault with everyone except themselves. So I recognize what I was reading and what I was looking at, okay? Anyway, I actually ended up resigning from that position a year later due to being called out of my corporate position by the Lord. When I left, there had been a lot of restructuring to my team, right? That year prior, I had actually fired quite a few people, and I had hired new people to replace those people over the course of that year. What I was finding was that there were a lot of tenured people who were coming in each day functioning from a place of entitlement. My job within the organization was to raise the standard of excellence within the department. When you have dead weight and you have anchors and you have people who just come to work and feel like it should be enough because they're there and they're breathing. People who absolutely refuse to bring it up a notch, to rise to the new standard of operation within the organization, within the department. Listen, these people left me no choice. So there were quite a few people who were fired that year, and they were rehired. When I left, my department could not have been any more high functioning or successful, just in terms of the quality and the quantity of work we were kicking out. So I left the organization on a high note. About a year later, after I relocated out of state, I received a letter from my old organization. And the letter explained that this old employee was suing the organization, claiming that they hadn't promoted this person due to race, claiming that I denied scheduling requests that hindered cancer treatment appointments, claiming that I had favorites in the department and that my firing was due to my personal dislike for them. The letter in and of itself was letting me know that litigation was currently going on and there was a possibility that I would be called to court. And they were asking if I would be willing to do that, if I would be willing to testify on behalf of the organization, and if I was, to call the corporate office and respond. As I read the letter, church, I was absolutely disgusted, to be honest with you. Okay, not only did this person have the nerve to wrongly sue the organization and claim racism when that was not the case, but this person had the nerve to slander my name after all that I'd done to be helpful and kind. My mother died of cancer, so I'm very familiar with that disease and the toll that it takes on the human body. Never once did I deny any requests for days off to go get treatment. That was a lie, and it was a lie I took personally. And the claim that I had favorites in the department and didn't like this person was almost ridiculous to me, because absolutely none of those other employees could speak to going out to dinner and a concert with me. None of them. I had done nothing like that for any of them. I did that with you because I wanted to encourage you and get your mind off of the challenges that you were facing, right? So I felt like in order for you to sue the organization, you clearly have to throw people under the bus and you clearly have to lie. And you're willing to lie on me. And it irritated me. I felt very betrayed, right? Listen, I went back into my computer and I found pictures of the event that I threw to celebrate this person before they went out on leave. All right. I then found pictures from the night I took this person to dinner and the concert. And then I remembered that I saw my cousin in the restaurant that night. Okay, so I was ready to call him and be like, yo, if you need to go to court and testify that you saw me with this individual that night, would you be willing to do? Listen, I was ready. Okay, I was more than ready and willing to go to court, show pictures, and proof that this person was an absolute liar. The truth is, this person was not promoted because there was a lack of education, there was a lack of skill set, and there was a lack of business acumen. Nothing more and nothing less. It was not because of this person's skin color. But instead of this individual working on the very specific areas I highlighted and implementing some of the key solutions I gave, they decided to take the victim route, right? Guided by jealousy and entitlement. Yeah. As I started to gather all of the pictures and physical evidence of this person's deception, I could hear the Holy Spirit tell me very clearly to stand down. I could hear the Lord tell me not to send any of that information. And so the next document I received from the organization a few weeks later was notification that there'd been a settlement and it would not be necessary for me to attend any court hearing. Now, I don't know any of the details of the settlement, but I do know that this individual likely got paid money to go away quietly because these organizations don't want or need that type of attention. Okay? Racism in corporate America is a real thing, but in this case, it was not a thing. It was an excuse to explain away this person's inadequacies and entitlement due to their tenure. Okay, this person wanted a position they had not earned. This person wanted a position they did not qualify for. Point blank, period. Now, when I looked up this person's name online, Apparently, this person is a serial suer. Okay, there are so many cases in which this person is suing an organization or another person. So clearly, we have someone who wants a certain type of lifestyle that requires money they aren't willing to actually earn. Okay, anyway. In that moment, I was struggling to understand why the Lord had not allowed me to send in the documentation I had. I was very annoyed, and I felt like the organization settled because perhaps they didn't have those very real pictures and documentations of this person's lies. Right? How do you explain that this manager supposedly hates you and zeroed you out and, zoomed in on you and railroaded you when this same manager, right? There are pictures of you and this manager keying and taking ussies out to dinner and out to a concert. Like, I thought she hated you. You don't do that for people that you hate. You don't do that for people that you don't like. I was angered that there was actual documentation out there with my name on it, connected to nasty lies about me. I felt like it was character assassination, to be candid. Like, how dare you lie and say I didn't approve days for your cancer treatments? Why on earth would you tell that lie? Right? I took it personally, church. But here's the deal. The Lord was teaching me how to deal with Judas, right? And the way you deal with Judas is you don't, right? We don't deal with Judas. Judas actually ends up dealing with himself. And what do I mean by that? I've lived long enough to tell you this much. I don't care who the person is, what their spiritual beliefs are, what religion they subscribe to. The law of sowing and reaping is universal. Okay? When you do dirt, you get dirt. And most times you don't reap in the same season you sow. Okay? Your just desserts typically catch up with you much later on, right? When you've forgotten about it and are out here living your best life, and all of a sudden things start going left field and you can't really seem to understand why. Well, it's reaping season for all that you've sown. And people don't seem to understand that. They do people dirty, they go on about their lives, and they just kind of feel like no one saw it, no one knows, I got away with it. But that is not true, okay? Aside from that, it's important for us to remember that Judases are human beings, right? I believe the Lord wanted me to learn to have compassion on people who do wicked things, because ultimately, hurt people hurt other people. I don't know anybody who's genuinely joyful, right? Who wakes up in the morning trying to figure out how to steal, kill, and destroy wherever they go. Miserable people do that. Okay? Psalm 37, 1-2 reads, "Do not fret because of evildoers, nor be envious of the workers of iniquity, for they shall soon be cut down like the grass and wither as the green herb." The word of God was a reminder to me that I didn't need to sit and feel any type of way about this person's perceived victory and this person's betrayal, right? This person may have been able to slander, lie, and seemingly be on the receiving end of a financial settlement rooted in deception, but the ultimate judge didn't miss any of the details. God saw and God knows. So as I learned to rest in the Lord and trust that He is just, right? I have learned to be able to forgive people, right? More specifically, forgive this person for slandering me, right? And I have learned to press forward and even intercede for the salvation of this person's soul, because ultimately that is what matters most, not my feelings and not what this person has done. And so I share this with you because as followers of Christ, there is always a Judas's kiss that we can look forward to. But Judas has a purpose, right? And while you're going through the betrayal, it hurts. It doesn't feel good. And it can be really upsetting. But just remember the truth. Judas hasn't been allowed to do something to you, right? That's not what you should be focusing on. Judas has been allowed to do something for you, right? Without Judas's betrayal, they would have never come to arrest Christ, which would have never led to his crucifixion on the cross, which would have never led to his resurrection, which would have never led to the fulfillment of the redemption plan for you and I, right? Judas has a purpose. And while it really stinks while you're going through it, just remember that. This ultimate goal is for us to be conformed to the image of Christ, right? It's impossible to love unconditionally when everyone is kind, loving, and amazing toward you. You need Judases in order to learn to forgive and love others the way Christ loves you. You need that little twinge of betrayal. You need to learn how to forgive, right? So I just wanted to share this with you because sometimes the most hurtful betrayals yield the most amazing fruit of the Holy Spirit. And I just want you to know that that is precisely why God allows it. It's not to see you cry. It's not to see your heart broken. It's not for all the things that go along with being betrayed. There's something good that comes out of it, right? So don't despise Judas's kiss, right? Just remember that there's a reason for it. So that's all I have for you on this particular video. And God willing, I'll see you next time.